You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the December 2024 regular council meeting for the Municipal District of St. Stephen. I'm Florence Mitchell. In today's meeting, under bylaws, Council will give bylaw MDSS 01-2024 to impose a special business improvement levy its second and third readings. Under new business, Council will move to establish meeting dates for the 2025 Council and Committee of the Whole meetings. Council will also move to approve the 2025 municipal budget. Finally, Council will move to make transfers between the General Operating Fund and General Operating Reserve Fund. Now let's join Council in the Moosehead Room at the Garceland Civic Center in St. Stephen.
Welcome everyone to the Municipal District of St. Stephen Council agenda for December 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Call to order. Everyone's here in attendance. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered today on ancestral unceded territory of the Passamaquoddy peoples. And to get started, I need a mover and seconder for the agenda for the regular council meeting of December 18th, 2024 be approved.
So moved.
Councilor Eastman.
Second.
Councilor Harding. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Any conflicts of interest this evening? No conflicts. Thank you. Okay, I will now take a mover and seconder that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on November 27, 2024 be approved as presented.
So moved.
Deputy Mayor Wheaton.
Second.
Councilor Eastman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And I'll take a mover and seconder for that the minutes of the special council meeting held on September 11th, 2024 be approved as presented.
So moved.
Councilor Harding.
Second.
Councilor Cornish. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. I need a mover and seconder for the report of the Chief Administrative Officer be acknowledged and received.
So moved.
Councilor Eastman.
Second.
Councilor Heislett. And the floor is yours, Jeff.
Thank you, Your Worship. The report was in your package. As I'm sure members around the table can understand, the great majority of the time of late has been focusing on the municipal budget documents that we'll be presenting tonight, and many drafts thereof that we've gone through. But as we have been doing lately, all the department reports are sitting under mine, so they were there for in your package. So I think we'll just open it to questions if there's any on the reports.
Not so much as a question, but my gratitude for the work that you guys have done on this. It was great. It was a challenge for everyone. We had a lot of changes in the Treasury Department, and so I'd like to make sure I thank your Treasury Department and you, Frank, and for the hard work in getting this presented to us tonight, and a good budget as well. So I'm happy with it, and I'm sure Council will say the same thing. Sure. So anyway, I appreciate all your efforts. Considering all the obstacles you guys had and girls. Thank you. That's all I get to say. Okay. I guess I said enough.
I also wanted to add, I love the presentations. I think that's great. I think next year it's going to be great too for the next budget to just actually be transparent. And I know as a new counselor, it actually helped me learn a lot about, the historical ways that we actually lay out a budget that I'm not familiar with, all the different intricate pieces of it. So I appreciate that too. That's really helpful as a new counselor and definitely makes it less overwhelming when you look at the budget at the end of the day.
Okay. So, and no more questions on the CEO report? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried to accept the report. All right, next, we got public comment period. Any comments or questions from the audience regarding the agenda? You got, and you got 3 minutes. We got a long meeting tonight.
Yes, I know you do. Okay, so before I have a few questions or comments. comments, actually, but I was going to ask a couple of questions about the shelter. I know it's not on the agenda, but there are questions out there about what's going on, if it's open yet, how many beds are occupied, if they're offering any other services. So if there's an opportunity for an update at some point, I know that there are people out there who'd be happy to hear. Onto the budget. I watched all the budget meetings and I quite enjoyed them. I had to watch them more than once because they are quite detailed and there's a lot of information. A lot of questions were answered, a lot of questions were not answered, so I hope that maybe tonight I'll be able to fill in some blanks. There's two things that I just wanted to, three things actually I just wanted to mention. First of all, I was expecting as part of the process that we would be able to see the list of grant applicants and those that are approved. I know there's $50,000 allocated for the grants, but I thought that that would be part of the process, and I'm disappointed not to see that list. So that's just a comment. The other one is around the list of, I don't know how to refer to them, but at the end of one of the meetings, the CAO provided a list of items that would be for future consideration, but that at that time were not already included. It included the technical services manager, the communications analyst, several other things. So I see that one of those I think is already incorporated in the budget, others maybe are not. It's my view that those items would probably be better looked at in conjunction with a business case, especially when it comes to staffing. My concern with staffing is that we already have a lot of staff in our district, and I don't know that it's a good idea to continue to grow government. I'm not sure that it's sustainable. So I think that when there's an opportunity or when there's an idea about adding staff to the complement, that should be accompanied by a business case. I know that for the technical services manager, that was part of the GemTech business case or plan that came out last January. So they're partially the way there on that one. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is the what happened or what was talked about, and then it's already in the budget, is moving money from the operating budget to the capital plan for the marked vehicle for bylaw enforcement. I personally think that that also needs a business case. I'm not convinced that that's a good idea, especially considering the fact that we don't actually, I don't mean we, but the district doesn't issue a lot of bylaw fines because we don't generate any revenue. It costs us money, all the different reasons that have been talked about here, but I'm not convinced that that's a good idea to bring on an asset, and I don't really believe that increasing visibility of a bylaw officer would actually be a deterrent to infractions. Thank you, and I do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Thank you, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thanks, Chandra. Okay, so now we can move on to the reports. Let's see what I got here. I need a mover and seconder for the future St. Stephen informational report be acknowledged and received.
So moved.
Councillor Eastman.
Second.
Councillor Greenlaw. Any questions or do you want to, is there anything you want to share for future St. Stephen?
Sure. So the biggest thing right now is looking at kind of the future of as we kind of enter the end of the year. Lots of kind of ongoing discussions, especially with different business leaders, as to kind of what are the next steps, what are the areas of economic development for the community overall, and just kind of how we move forward from there.
Yes, Councillor Greenlaw.
Yeah, just wondering if you feel you've got some good direction and good, instructions from the municipal district as to what they're expecting over the next 6 months?
I would say that I would love more. We'll always take more feedback because that's, as a group of primarily business leaders in the community, we kind of see one side of it. We speak with the RSC, we come to meetings, but we always love more feedback and to align. It's our belief that the more that our groups are working together, the more we're going to be able to achieve things. We've been looking at kind of our strategic areas And one, for example, that we'll be looking with kind of two groups that we partner with on our board is with the Chamber in downtown St. Stephen, which is the small and commercial growth side to it. So, driving basically where they need assistance on the economic side, what is it they need our assistance within that area? And there's probably other areas to integrate, but definitely we're always looking for more feedback, for more information to align priorities with everybody. It just helps us to achieve more if we're all on the same page.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Rodas?
Is there any chance it's my understanding you're looking at hiring somebody, hopefully, potentially. What are you looking for? If you could just kind of share that publicly, what kind of candidate are you looking for? What are the requirements for the position? And I'm wondering too if you have somewhat of a timeline or idea on how feasible it is to hire somebody, how quickly that can happen. And it's tough because you don't want to move too quick, but you also don't want to move too slow. So it's challenging because you have to find the right person for that position. I know it's a hard position to fill, but anyway, we could support and also to open it up to the public so they're aware.
Yeah, definitely. So we've actually decided as a board to work with a group. It's Practical HR, Sherry Devereaux, if you're familiar. And we're working with her to refine the job posting. We should have that up within the next week or so. She's worked with a lot of local businesses, great network to get job postings out, just not locally, but to wider communities. It's varied. If we look at, past presidents, I would say they all have their own strength. And their strengths have worked well for where St. Stephen is at the time. The role itself is you're wearing a lot of hats, we'll say, because you're working on different projects. You're also integrating with different groups, right? You're doing I won't be disappointed that they take over this seat again. Not that I don't love seeing all of you guys, but I'll see you outside of these meetings instead of here in front of a microphone, and I'll be happy with that. But being here, being the voice, that side of it, the day-to-day as far as what the president's roles does is basically being an information center, as well as chasing down whatever those priorities are that are set by the municipality, by our group, by other groups working together. So it definitely requires somebody who has a really, we'll say, self-motivated attitude. We will be posting it. Obviously, we'll have it on our website. We'll have it kind of posted across. And anyone that's interested or anyone that wants more information or to ask questions, I would, encourage them just to reach out so we can always provide more info for it. It's hard. It's a hard role to even kind of really define because there's not many people nowadays who go to school to focus on, economics, or who go to school thinking, I'm going to be an economic development officer in a municipality. That's not, I don't think anyone's putting it on their career page in grade 5. Mine was NHL player, and that didn't happen, so I'm really disappointed. But it does, come with a lot of different backgrounds that have strength to it. The networking element, I would say, if somebody is strong in networking, that definitely has a lot of key points to it.
I'm wondering if we just can prioritize something almost like the strategic planning session that we did at the beginning of council, because I still would love to have clarity on how Future St. Stephen works in terms of, how long, if you're working with the developer, do you kind of work with them until it's passed off to the municipality, even for new councilors to, I don't know that we have full clarity on that, and I think it would be hard for the new person stepping into that role to step in with some new councilors, some seasoned councilors. It would be overwhelming to work with, your Future St. Stephen board and the municipality and our town office. So just trying to kind of gain clarity on how that process works and really finessing it so that the councilors understand as well, because I'm not at every meeting. I know that the mayor is involved in the CAO, but just to understand, when we're speaking in community about it, what does that role look like and what is the process of the role, and then for us to know the process as well. So I'm wondering if we could prioritize some, even if it's just like a couple-hour session where we just quickly review our strategic goals as a municipality and then see if they're completely in alignment with Future St. Stephen, and then talk about how we can be more supportive of that. But not a huge like full day session or anything by that means, just. Yeah, no, please, no Saturdays.
Were you thinking before or after the hire?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, we can talk about that later. Give that some thought, because I think it would be a good idea. So we can work towards something. Yeah. And check with the board too, see what they want to do. Okay. Councilor Eastman?
Yeah, I'm just hoping that when you're scouting out this individual, that they've got a high level of marketing skills, because that's what we need for this town, is somebody to market our town for us.
Yeah, and that's something that I think has, like I said, has shifted because as the priorities in Future St. Stephen or in St. Stephen, right, have moved. We've needed different things, and I would agree. Right now, we are in a stage where we're competing a lot more for different businesses, for everything like that. It is something we have listed within it. So it's something that is definitely on our minds. We have kind of a list of areas that are within it, and they are the person that should be kind of helping to say, hey, this looks good, or this isn't. This is where we need to focus in on as far as how we kind of productize, we'll say. The good thing is some of our newest board members as well have including myself, but others have backgrounds in sales and marketings, which I think helps to have more voices at the table to help with that side to it, to maybe say, hey, this isn't looking so great, we need to come at this a different angle, but we'll certainly be looking at as well.
Okay, Councilor Otis?
Also, is it possible to specifically contract like that position? I'm wondering if there's also other agencies that partner with smaller agencies to fill in some of those gaps. Like, does it have to be one role, or could it be somebody who specializes in, business relationships, and then somebody else who just specializes in marketing? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, so I made the comment of not being, happy to give these meetings away. So Em's just making sure that I get as many questions as possible. So we've done that before. So not recently, but on certain projects, like my business, I've done marketing side before. Germany before, originally did website. So we do look around. We have talked about other individuals that we could bring on for different projects. A lot of times when we look at that, we look at, is there potentially funding somewhere through another program that we could apply for funding to help cover those costs? Because then what that does is it doesn't take away from the operating budget side. It helps us to ensure there's a business case for using that funding. We can certainly use the funding if there's nothing out there, but a lot of times it does help to make sure that we have funding from a particular channel to help support a reason like that.
Okay, we're getting into committee talk, so we got to stay on council. But good conversation. Let's just we'll keep working towards it, and it's all good. When's what mean?
Our board meetings. So typically they're Wednesday mornings. Our next Wednesday's on New Year's, so there wasn't like a big rousing cry for that to happen. So we'll probably be moving that probably that week, just later in the days.
You're welcome. Okay, so I had to move in a second. Any no more questions? All those in favor of accepting the Future St. Stephen informational report? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Bylaws. All right. I need a mover and seconder for bylaw number MDSS 01-2024, second reading, a bylaw to impose a special business improvement levy. Councilor Greenlaw? Councilor Rodas? Any questions? All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Do I have a question?
Not so much a question, just,
Question or comments, fine.
just a comment that moving forward, I know where our municipal plan that's being done in the prelim work they did, that huge document they presented to us, it did mention the amount of the levy, and that how that might be considered a hindrance. So I'm not saying we should change it this year, but it's definitely something we need to keep our eye on as we focus on economic development. So, thanks.
Any more questions? Okay, for the first reading, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Yeah, carried. All right, mover and seconder for bylaw number MDSS01 2024, third and final reading. A bylaw to impose a special business improvement levy. Any, okay, sorry, okay. Yeah.
Can I move it again?
Yeah, you can, certainly. I was confused. I was almost looking for questions. Mover and seconder, Councillor Rodas and Councillor Greenlaw. And again, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Okay, request for decisions. Okay, I'll take a mover and seconder for the council, that council establish the following meeting dates pursuant to the council procedure bylaw, subject to the changes and the additions to the outlined herein.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Councillor Harding, Councillor Eastman, is there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Woo! Here's a big one. All right. 2025.
You may want to have the presentation before your presentation. Just in case there's a change.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are numbers in this one.
I'm just going to move it in first.
But you might want to take the presentation first, I'm saying, as all. You could take the presentation before the resolution if you wish. Yep, yep. Okay. Just in case there's changes, we can change the resolution properly.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right. I got you even more now. Okay. So let's do the presentation, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's a relief to be able to actually sit here with what we think is the final draft of your general operating fund budget. A lot of effort has gone in with the team that's sitting at the table here and our support staff to reach today. Very proud of the work that the team has done, and I'm hoping that you'll see the value in what we're presenting here as far as the budget goes. Just the context setting, the data on the screen is something that comes from our friends at SNB regarding our assessment base change from year to year. You will see that we had a pretty significant assessment base change. We knew this, about 8.91% overall, which did open a lot of opportunities for various decisions that were possible as far as what the tax rate should be, what projects could be done, what reserves could be funded. That being said, the budget being presented before you does not propose that we use all the room that was created by the assessment growth. It actually proposes that we share it, not quite 50-50, but close, between operational requirements, projects that have been on our list that need to get caught up, and a proposed tax rate decrease for all parties that pay taxes. So we are looking at a shared solution here, which I think is a really responsible approach. The general operating budget overview, you'll see it before you. Our budget that we're proposing would have a total budget of $14,158,049. It is, of course, a balanced budget per legislation. The key deliverables that I see within the budget, and there was no intention on my part tonight to go line by line, but if there are questions, we'll happily take them as we've been through this. But a 4% reduction in residential tax rates, both rural and urban, which also flow through to the non-residential. We're proposing to keep the multiplier, the non-residential multiplier at the 1.6, which means that they would benefit the same 4% as everybody else across the board. Mayor and councillor stipends held at 2024 rates per council's previous indication to me. Big one is $198,334 reduction to administrative staff salaries as part of corporate restructuring that council has indicated is desirable. We had a good long discussion about that. The flip side of that, we have been able to create what we're calling a shared special projects corporate services fund of $237,101 to support technological equipment and other investments necessary to implement the corporate restructuring you're asking us to do. So we've moved the funds out of salaries. We're putting it into a special fund. The reason it's called shared is the things that happen inside the areas that we're looking at, the improvements, those are also shared with the utility. So when we start looking at how this works, the benefits actually will accrue to both sides of our equation. So as we get more efficient and as expenses get lower on the general side, it'll also happen on the utility side at a prorated rate. So it is a shared thing between the two items. We have, thanks to your previous approval, we are implementing a new budgeting software, which will greatly assist us in getting these papers and more detailed and more citizen-friendly documents out quicker to help support your strategic goal of becoming more more open and engaged with our public around how the budget is created. We have maintained the $50,000 community grants fund. Just to the citizens' comment, this has nothing to do with any of the applications that are in. You'll see those in January. First we pass the budget, so we have the money, then we bring you the analysis on the applications and with recommendations. But this just sets the money up. Change from previous presentations, after discussing it with the team, and I had mentioned it during the committee of the whole meeting, we've moved sidewalk and road renewal budgets into the capital plan. We had, mainly in the sidewalk part, earmarked $100,000 there. We've now moved that over to the transfer to the capital plan, and it appears now in the capital plan as a project. Again, nice one-stop shopping for all the projects for you by approaching it that way. There had been a proposal to potentially fund an independent community safety survey that we anticipate funding that in 2025. There was a SMART goal of looking at a possible municipal rebranding. That has been funded in this budget as well. One thing that was on the list of things that weren't in previous drafts was the crack sealing for the airport maintenance of the runway. After all the excellent work that we've done, we've now identified funding available for that and actually boosted the value on that one. We were a little concerned about the age of the quote that we had in hand. So we've earmarked $40,000 for that in 2025 to take care of the issues with the cracks in the runway. We have changed our budget document to show $150,000 to support economic development work within our municipality. That's our friends at Future St. Stephen, that potentially regional partnership should that come to fruition. But we have an earmark there to do what council tells us to do with it. Despite being able to do all that, we still are proposing to transfer $65,281 into the general capital reserve for future projects. And probably most significantly, to my mind, is funding $842,609 of capital work in 2025, which is the great majority is the road plan, the first year of your road plan. And you'll see that when we talk about the capital budget. So with those deliverables in place, I wanted to give you a little shot of what this is kind of a modified screenshot of the portal that we have to use to submit our tax rates and everything to our friends at the government. So you see the column that says 2024. You'll see the previous tax rates. St. Stephen TV, I don't know why they call it TV. That is the old town site. That's Ward 2. And then per council's request, we now have St. Stephen Rural, which is everything else. You'll see St. Stephen Rural didn't have a tax rate before because it didn't exist last year. So I put in the numbers, what the unified tax rate of the rural area was deemed to be, as well as its associated non-residential and heavy industrial rates. On the right-hand side, under 2025, you'll see the rates that we have proposed to support the budget that we put in front of you. And as I say, we were planning on keeping the multiplier at the 1.6 and reducing rates by 4% across the board. So we have worked very hard to try and get wins for everybody as much as we can. And with that, we'll happily entertain any questions on this budget.
Yep. Okay, so I need a mover and seconder that council establish the following, oh, jeepers. The municipal budget, sorry folks, general operating budget, or fund budget, that the sum of $14,158,049 be the total operating budget of the local government of the municipal district of St. Stephen, that the sum of $9,202,965 be warranted for the local government for the municipal district of St. Stephen for the ensuing year, and that the tax rates for the local government of the municipal district of St. Stephen be 1.5610 for St. Stephen and 0.5597 for the St. Stephen rural, and that the non-residential multiplier be set at 1.6. The council orders and directs the levying by the Minister of Local Government of said amount on real property liable to taxation under the Assessment Act within the local government and of the municipal district of St. Stephen. Questions? All those in favor? Oh, did I have a question? Oh, Councilor Wright, my apologies.
It was just more of a comment. I love the fact that we can reduce it. I am just putting it on the record that I'm a little concerned that in the next year we'll have to go up and then it could be a seesaw. So I would have liked to seen us, I shouldn't say I would have liked to seen us. I think there's value in just holding the rate steady, but that's just my comment. I know it's a great budget. I know the staff has worked absolutely hard, and I'm sure our citizens, and I pay taxes here too, will be thrilled to get a reduction. And so great work on everybody, but I'm just maybe skeptical. It's too good to be true for future years, I guess. But kudos to the staff, and I hope I'm proved wrong.
Well, hang on for the ride. We'll see.
Awesome.
All right. Was there any more questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Good work, everyone.
Good work. That's excellent.
Whew. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. So next up is the water and sewerage utility fund budget. I need a mover and seconder. Pursuant to Section 117, Bracket 4 of the Local Governments Act, that the tax total budget for the water and wastewater utility for the ensuing year would consist of the total revenues of $2,834,321 and the total expenditures of $2,834,321. Couldn't just round those up, would you? Okay, Councilor Heislip, Councilor Harding, questions? All comments? Yes. Oh, yeah. Please do.
This one's much shorter. There's not a lot of discretionary spending in this budget at all, but. So yeah. So you've read in the totals for the revenue and expenditures that we're planning. So the key deliverables on this one: no anticipated rate change necessary to support the budget at this time. We've been very upfront that we are planning on bringing some presentations forward about again, a restructuring of how we do the rates, of how we operate the utility. It's a big job to get it ready to present, but we are taking a very fresh look at how the utility runs. And it will, as I said before, it will. It's going to benefit from the corporate restructuring on the operating side as well. So again, we always remind that we do pay the $125,000 from the operating fund to compensate for the firefighting use of the water. We do have reductions in administrative wages, and with this budget, it's not a ton of money, but we are happy to say that we are able to put $166,255 into the utility capital reserve to continue to feed that reserve for future capital expenditures.
Okay, any questions? All right, I had a mover, I had a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, I'll take a mover and seconder for that the 2025 capital budget plan be approved as presented.
So moved.
Councilor Wright?
Second.
Councilor Cornish? Anything you want to present on that, Jen?
Yeah, just for anybody who might be trying to see this in some of the documents that are posted, it's really quite small. So I did put it up on the screen. Just trying to show some of the work we have planned. As per this one is specific to the road renewals. So we have a lot of small jobs in this year, but those are the roads that have been neglected the longest and needed to do the rehab work. We also have, that total is 1.126 million in capital work there, just to get those roads working. We also are looking at some equipment and fleet, a backhoe, replacing our aged backhoe, replacing a 2010 Chevrolet pickup, replacing our Sonoma. We're looking at the potential of acquiring a marked enforcement vehicle to increase visibility for when our enforcement officers on patrol. So those total $439,000 of work. Facilities and parks, these are the ones that people are often interested in. The tennis court rehabilitation project would be funded for $125,000. Airport building at this time was not funded, which I think there's still much, I think we all agreed at committee that there's more discussions that need to be happening around the airport itself. Another important one, the Milltown Pool liner replacement for $250,000. Security cameras here at the GCC for $25,000. And the upgrades at the Rotary Park for another $25,000. So $425,000 of work in facilities and parks. And probably our single biggest ticket item is to get working on the King Street lift station renewal. Discussed at committee. Sean's team has done miracles to keep operational as it keeps going, and I know our engineers are quite impressed by the fact that they've kept it running. But now it's now number one priority, and it needs to be done. That you'll see in a second. That's the gas tax fund, or Canada Community Building Fund, they call it now. So the project finances for the year, out of our current year budget, $842,609. Drawing from our reserves, $164,494. Proposing long-term debt, $983,655, and using our again, we'll call it gas tax for the 1.2 million. Most likely, as we adjust this plan when things come in, that'll be split over the next 2 years, or depending on how tendering times and design times go. But we'll adjust the plan accordingly as the realities start to set in on us as how that's going to best play out. Fortunately, with gas tax, it's just a separate bank account that we get fed from time to time from the federal government. So we'll just plan it out to make sure that the cash is ready, and so is the project. With that, that's the end of capital planning.
Looks good as well. Councilor Greenlaw.
Yeah, so just more of a statement. The surplus that was transferred over into into the capital from the operating, the $900,000, roughly $842,000. I just want people to be aware that a lot of that, or some of that, came from shared services. And for transparency, I think that we're taking money from shared services and we're not using it for what it was intended for. We're using it for something else. So in future budgets, I'd like to see maybe that we're a little more transparent about that, and we keep that money for what it was originally gathered for, and that we look at different ways to fund the reserve, such as a standard, a standard transfer every year of 1% or 2% of budget into those reserves. Just a statement.
I guess I would challenge the idea that that's being used for money that it wasn't ever intended for. Because just because it goes to capital doesn't mean it's going to non-shared services. We have $250,000 of expenditure on a pool liner, which is all of recreation is a shared service. There is the parks, all the parks upgrades are shared services. Now, we can certainly try and make it more transparent of how that split goes, as the documents we just gave you. Totally hear that point. I take a little bit of offense at the original wording of the comment as opposed to the spirit, Councillor.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Councillor Greenlaw.
Yeah, so I understand some of it's being paid on shared service, but I'm saying if you collect taxes from somebody to buy a fire truck and you have money left over after you buy the fire truck, then it should be used for what it was intended for. And we're not using it for exactly what it was intended for. Something might have been from leftover wages from the fire department, and we're using it to buy a pool liner now. And that's what I'm trying to get at. That's all. Thank you.
Councillor Heislett.
Just my comment is great job, and I'm sure a lot of people are happy with some of the lines that were up there. Just to point out, and a lot of people don't realize, I'm sure, because of comments that I've had in the past, that the sexy stuff's in the ground, right? I mean, yeah, I was on as the chair of Public Works. You don't see that stuff that's in the ground, but it's unless you go and flush your toilet or turn on your tap, then you realize how important it is, right? And when you see that line of 1.2 million, that's people will just pass over that and say, okay, 1.2 million. But if you don't have that 1.2 million to fix our lift station, you've tried to go and flush your toilet next week and see what happens and how many complaints are happening. So it's the roads are easy because you drive over them, you hit a bump and you feel it. But there's stuff that's underneath that ground that people don't see, and it sometimes gets neglected, and it's the most costly things because you're digging in the ground and you don't know what you're going to run into, right? Mm-hmm. So kudos to getting this stuff done when we need to get it done. Yeah. Thanks.
Councillor Cornish.
In addition to the staff, I believe you've created a workable budget. I compliment you on being able to work with us behind the scenes. For the people out in the audience and around the room, we have spent many hours. You only see pieces of it. So when we go into other sessions to design it, we've probably racked up 4 meetings just to get to this point, approximately. And that's a lot of manpower, and I congratulate people working around the room with us on council that we haven't killed each other yet. Comments like Wade just made a minute ago is type that we ask and we expect answers, and most of it we've been able to work out. So again, I thank everybody for working on that budget, and I'm hoping that we can do better even next year. Thank you.
Yeah, on that, I think the budget itself is showing the progress. I mean, we just reduced the tax rate, and I hated the fact of raising it last year because that's the first one I've been part of raising. We reduced it, and we're doing more work, and I like seeing that, and it's a lot of work. It's gonna take a lot of work to do this work, folks. Let's not forget that. The staff's gonna be very busy trying to line this up and get these contracts created and put out to people that are going to do the work for us. That's going to be very challenging. So I appreciate it, and I'm happy to see where we're at. So kudos, Councilor Rodas.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you for being patient with just an amalgamation and all the feelings that come with that generally. Because I know years ago, there were probably a lot of small one-room schoolhouses that started to, collect in the urban centers. And I know that every single student at St. Stephen High School does not live in Ward 2. And I know that definitely my niece and nephews will be pumped to be in that splash pad and in that new pool at Milltown Pool. So it's just, for me, it's super important. I don't like to think about all the wards being different. I like to think of them together, and that's because I lived on the Ledge and I lived in Oak Bay and lived down at Emily Lane in Dufferin. Yeah, it's named after me. It really is. But if I have a lane named after me in a rural ward, I think it's fine that we're all sharing the wealth here, even if it lands in town. We all use these roads. We all use these schools. We all use these hospitals. We all use the mental health building, all the businesses downtown. We have rural counselors that are sitting on the chamber and BIA as a representative counselor. So it's things like that. I think we really need to get away from this urban-rural. I've always felt like St. Stephen definitely, there might be a different feeling of living in the country sometimes, but it doesn't mean that I've never considered myself as a resident of St. Stephen, even growing up in the Ledge Road. So just throwing that out there. Amazing job. I don't know how you pulled off so many key deliverables and still, ended up decreasing that tax rate. It's just unbelievable. And kudos, Jeff. You've been through the ringer this year, and same with, everyone along this table. Really, we thank you for your work. Amazing.
Thank you. So since you own that street out there, we'll see if we can get some money out of you to get some fixed.
Don't be raising my tax.
All right. Okay. So I kind of lost where we're at. Okay. Okay. So all those, did I already? No. All those in favor of the capital budget plan? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, folks. Oh my goodness, look at all these transfers. Couldn't word those all into one. Man, here we go. Okay, I need a mover and seconder.
Your Worship, just point of order. If council's inclined, you could do an omnibus motion to accept all these recommendations as one motion. Former treasurers have votes on every one, and you just have to have unanimous consent to do it all as one one motion if you wish. That is legit.
Is there anything? How's the feel on the council on that?
I'm good.
Yeah, because they're not even really. They're not. Yeah. All right.
Can I just speak to it real quick before you? Okay. This is what you have before you. Some of them you would have seen before for specific projects. This is the first year that we've actually sat down and done what I said we needed to do for a long time. And the team got together and we evaluated the current status of the budget as of December, and looked at where did we have surpluses sitting for whatever reason. Project didn't happen. We had staff vacancies, whatever they were, and came up with the numbers in the chart that said, okay, instead of losing this surplus for 2 years and having it come back later, let's identify it, let's start filling our reserves. If all these motions go through, your general operating reserve is essentially at its legal maximum by the end of this year. We're putting money into the capital reserve. We're cleaning up some old commitments from the capital reserve that now, as we move forward, and we'll go over the reserve. I want to go over the reserve specifically at a committee of the whole meeting with you to get you educated on what's there and what it's committed for, and whether we want to recommit it to fire halls or other things. But it's the first step of this. We weren't perfect, but we did pretty darn good as we were sitting here trying to figure this out. But it's the first step, and you're gonna see this again next year as we get better and our numbers get stronger later in the year. So I'm really happy to say that that's one thing that we've told you we needed to do, and we've taken the first step towards delivering on that.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, so I'm going to word this. I got to have a mover and seconder for the 2024 transfers. As presented. As presented, yes. Councilor Harding, Councilor Greenlaw. Any questions on the transfers? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. I don't know how big my smile looks right now, but that was a lot already.
I got 2 years if I got.
If I'd known that, I might have given Shandor a couple more minutes. Sorry, Shandor, call you. I didn't mean to call you out, but we can stay after, in fact. All right. Okay, on that, I'll take a mover and seconder for the council reports. Deputy Mayor Wheaton.
I'll second.
Councilor Eastman. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And, okay, I need a mover and seconder that pursuant to Section 68, Bracket 1 of the Local Governance Act, council move to a closed session for the purpose of discussing one financial matter. Councilor Heislip? Councilor Greenlaw? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Move into closed.